When you walk into a classroom, a church, or even a supermarket, you are not entering a space filled with people. You are entering a room filled with stories. Each person carries a chapter they never show on the outside. Some chapters are victories, some are heartbreaks that still bleed in silence. And behind every silent chapter, there is a quiet question. Does anyone see me? Does anyone see me? Psychologists call it belonging. Scripture calls it love. And the Orthodox fathers call it communion because a person is not meant to walk through life unseen. In Genesis, God says, "It is not good for man to be alone." Genesis chapter 2. He wasn't just talking about marriage. He was revealing the very architecture of the human soul. We are created for connection. We grow through relationships, not instructions. You can teach a mind without touching a heart, but you cannot transform a life without entering it. That's why Jesus did not simply teach truth, he embodied relationship. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. John chapter 1. Modern society worships data, efficiency, performance, productivity, and outcomes. We rank, we measure, we compare, we analyze. We create charts to track progress, but ignore the human heart that beats beneath those charts. We quantify everything, except the things that matter. We know why people quit school, quit jobs, and sometimes even quit faith. We blame poverty, burnout, distraction, broken families, technology addiction, lack of discipline, or low motivation. But those are not the deepest causes, they are symptoms. Beneath every dropout is a broken relationship. Beneath every burnout is a lonely soul. Think for a moment about someone who changed your life. A teacher, a mentor, a priest, a parent, a coach. Try to remember not their words, but their presence. You don't remember what they taught. You remember how they made you feel. Safe, seen, capable. Jesus does not begin his encounters with information. He begins with attention. When he saw Zacchaeus in a tree, he didn't preach a sermon. He said, "Zacchaeus, come down, for I must stay at your house today." Before conversion, Jesus creates connection. Before transformation, he gives dignity. He gives dignity. When people feel seen, they rise. When people feel judged, they hide. And most of the time, the world only sees the exterior, the grades, the mistakes, the performance, the failures. Christ sees the heart behind them. In the Egyptian Patrick, a young monk keeps breaking the fasting rule and failing every spiritual assignment. Ashamed, he goes to his elder and says, "Father, I fail every day." The elder puts his hands on the young monk's shoulders and replies, "No, you fall every day, and every day you get back up. This is victory." When someone believes in you, your soul remembers how to stand. Encouragement is not flattery. Encouragement is prophecy. When you tell a child, "I see greatness in you," you are not describing who they are. You are awakening who they can become. Love builds up. Corinthians. There was a teacher who gave a quiz, 20 questions. A student missed some of them, like 18. Instead of writing 18, she wrote +2 and drew a big smiley face. The student looked confused and asked, Is this still a fail?" And she replied, "Yes, but you got 2 right. You are on the road." -18 kills hope, +2 ignites growth. The Orthodox fathers say, a bruise reed he will not break. Christ never focuses on what is missing, he focuses on what can grow. We have become experts at pointing out what is wrong. We know how to diagnose, analyze, categorize, and criticize. But we rarely celebrate even the smallest victory someone fights hard for. Transformation begins the moment someone says, look, you took one step, that matters. God doesn't need perfection, he needs willingness. He doesn't demand that we leap. He celebrates when we take one tiny step. He does not grade potential, he awakens it. In the desert tradition, a young disciple once asked his elder, how will I know that I am growing? The elder replied, when you stop counting how far you have left and start thanking God for how far you've come. Grace is not measured by distance traveled, but by steps taken. One year, a teacher faced a class that was labeled hopeless. Admiration warned her, low scores, behavioral issues, low motivation. Instead of lowering expectations, she raised identity. She told them, you were chosen to be in my class because I am the best teacher and you are the best students. The class froze. No one had ever called them best. One boy whispered, really? And she looked each child in the eyes and answered, really. From that day on, something changed. Not because of curriculum, but because of identity. The Holloway walk was not a walk anymore. It became a stride. And soon they started believing the words they repeated every morning. I am somebody. I have things to do, places to go, and people to bless. That's what God says to you. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah chapter 43. Identity is not earned, it is received. Calling is not achieved, it is given. God doesn't work with labels. He works with destinies. The world looks at what you've done. God sees what you are capable of. He whispers, you were chosen. You were chosen. When someone believes in you, everything changes. When someone believes in you, everything changes. There is a detail in the gospel that people often overlook. Jesus did not wait for the disciples to become holy before calling them. He called them while they were ordinary, imperfect, unprepared fishermen. Because Christ sees not who you are, but who you can become through love. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Follow me. This is relationship. I will make you. This is transformation. Not be perfect first, not get your life together, but walk with me. Walk with me. Walk in the light. When someone sees potential in you, it awakens courage you didn't know you had. When someone believes in you, you start believing in yourself. Sometimes the greatest miracle God performs is not changing circumstances, but revealing identity. You are not who the world says you are. You are who God calls you to be. You are who God calls you to be. Most people are not waiting for advice. They are waiting for someone daring enough to believe in them. Teaching without relationship is instruction. Teaching with relationship is resurrection. Jesus did not heal people from a distance. He touched lepers. He lifted children into his arms. He wept with Mary and Martha. Every miracle began with a moment of attention. Transformation always begins with these three silent words. I see you. I see you. Look around right now. Someone near you needs a champion. Someone near you is one conversation away from opening the book of their own destiny. Sometimes all it takes to save a life is to notice one. When Jesus when Jesus met the woman at the well, he did not begin with doctrine, he began with dignity. He didn't say, "Fix your life first." He simply said, "Give me a drink. Give me a drink." In that moment, he restored her humanity by inviting relationship. This woman had 5 broken relationships behind her and one that was currently collapsing. Society saw her as a moral failure. Jesus saw her as a missionary. He revealed truth only after he restored value, because hearts open only when they feel safe. The conversation ends with her dropping her water jar and running back to the village shouting, "Come, see a man who told me everything I ever did." She becomes the first evangelist in that region. One encounter, one relationship, one soul restored. One soul restored. Relationship builds resilience. When a person knows they are loved, they take risks. They try harder, dream bigger, endure longer. The early church grew not because Christians had perfect sermons, but because they had fearless love. They didn't ask how do we teach more. They ask how do we love deeper. The Orthodox fathers say give blood and receive spirit. It means transformation comes through commitment, but commitment becomes possible only when someone walks beside you. A priest once said that 90% of ministry is just showing up at hospital beds, funerals, weddings, lonely apartments, painful confessions, anxious conversations. People rarely remember what you said. They remember that you came. Every child, every teen, every adult has a silent internal cry. Don't give up on me. We hide it beneath confidence, sarcasm, or cynicism, but the cry remains. Even the toughest person in the room is secretly asking, do I matter to someone? Do I matter to someone? This is not weakness. It is the mark of being made in the image of God, a relational God. In Psalm 139, David says, "You have searched me and known me." God doesn't just observe our actions. He understands our motives. To be known is the deepest desire of the heart. The world doesn't need more information. It needs more incarnation. We live in an age with more information than any civilization before us. We can access thousands of sermons in seconds, but people are not starving for teaching. They are starving for touch. The word became flesh, not PowerPoint. Christ didn't say, "I will explain the way." He said, "I am the way." Transformation is never transmitted, it is embodied. Truth without love is not truth. Love without truth is not love. The gospel is truth wrapped in love. And the world opens to truth when it feels love first. Mentors can change destinies. Education is not about dispensing information. It is about awakening meaning. If you only teach content, you produce students. If you build relationships, you produce human beings. The goal of Orthodox spirituality is not knowledge. It is the transformation of the person. Saint Basil the Great wrote, "A teacher must inspire his students to become better than they are, not better than others. Better than they were yesterday." Comparison crushes. Encouragement resurrects. A mentor is not someone who fixes you. A mentor is someone who walks with you until you can stand. And resurrection begins with connection. Before Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he did something unexpected. He wept. He wept. He enters their grief before. He speaks into it. Christ does not hurry past your pain. He sits with you in it. Resurrection is not about speed, it is about presence. He weeps with us before he raises for us. A teacher, a parent, a spiritual father cannot always fix a situation, but they can always enter it. And sometimes entering someone's pain is the most Christ-like action we can perform. Think of the person you love the most. How did that relationship begin? Most likely not with a lecture, but with attention, listening, and presence. Presence builds trust. Trust builds openness. Openness creates transformation. It always happens in this order, never the other way. Jesus didn't transform the disciples by preaching at them. He walked with them. 3 years of meals, roads, storms, laughter, failures, miracles. Love taught them that words could not. There is a tragic modern temptation. We love results more than people. We love performance more than hearts. We love outcomes more than souls producing those outcomes. But Christ never used people to win his mission. Christ never used people to win his mission. He used his mission to win people. The shepherd leaves 99 to find the one because the one matters. No one is disposable in my kingdom. When you die, nobody will read your resume at your funeral, but they will tell stories about how you made them feel. Legacy is not built by impressing people. Legacy is built by investing in people. Every person you meet is fighting a battle you don't see. A student who sleeps in class might be carrying trauma from home. A rude teenager might be shielding heartbreak. A cold adult might be protecting an old wound that never healed. The Orthodox fathers teach, be kind, everyone is wounded. When someone acts in darkness, it is usually because they are hurting. We cannot shame people into the light. We must love them into it. This is how we change the world, not with arguments, not with power, but with love that refuses to quit. St. Paul reminds us, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love doesn't give up. Love honors the process. You may be someone's only champion. There are people in your life right now who are one conversation away from changing. They don't need you to fix them. They need you to believe in them. You don't need a PhD to change a life. You don't need to be eloquent or perfect or flawless. You just need to stay. Presence is more powerful than perfection. The world says, earn my trust. Christ says, I give it to you first. That is what champions do. They go first. A champion does not wait for perfection before offering encouragement. Jesus chose disciples who were flawed, impulsive, easily discouraged, and slow to understand. Yet he called them anyway because he loved them into who they could become. Christ saw greatness where the world saw mediocrity. That is what champions do. They see potential before evidence. The church fathers teach, do not judge a person by a moment of weakness. Everyone is more than their worst moment. Everyone is more than their last mistake. A champion refuses to reduce someone's identity to a chapter they are still trying to rewrite. People don't blossom when you tell them everything that's wrong. They blossom when someone notices what's right. Criticism produces defensiveness. Encouragement produces courage. So when you see the good, even if it's tiny, you give them a reason to grow it. Think of a time someone believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Maybe they said, "You've got this," or "I'm proud of you," or "I see something in you." I see something in you. Those words didn't just motivate you, they changed your direction. Belief ignites perseverance. And connection is the most powerful teaching tool. You can teach information without relationship, but you cannot teach transformation without connection. A heart does not open to someone who does not care. And once the heart opens, the mind follows. Jesus always touched the heart first and the behavior second. Instruction is the transfer of information. Discipleship is the transfer of life. The gospel spreads when people don't just meet Christianity, they meet Christians. Truth becomes believable when love becomes visible. Modern society has confused influence with visibility. We think impact requires a platform, a microphone, a stage, but the greatest transformations in history happened in small rooms, quiet conversations, dusty roads, and dinner tables. Relationship is where resurrection begins. A veteran teacher once said, "I don't have to like every student, I just have to teach them." But a wiser teacher replied, "You can't teach someone you don't love." Children aren't fooled by technique, they are moved by affection. Love gives access to the soul. Even when someone is difficult, stubborn, or disrespectful, they are silently testing the same question. Will you stay even now? Will we stay even now? Endurance proves love more than enthusiasm. Consistency proves value more than compliments. The toughest person in a room is often the most wounded. Aggression is usually protection. Defiance is usually fear. Champions look past behavior into the heart that aches behind it. Jesus noticed people nobody else saw. He noticed the woman touching his garment in the crowd. He noticed blind Bartimaeus shouting from the roadside. He noticed Zacchaeus hiding in a tree. Love begins with noticing. Attention is a form of healing. When someone feels unseen, life loses color. But when someone is noticed, truly seen, hope begins to grow like a small flame. You are the God who sees me. You are the God who sees me. Genesis chapter 16. Some people don't need advice, they need acknowledgement. Not a solution, but a witness. A quiet, steady presence can be more powerful than the right answers. When Andrew discovered Christ, he didn't preach a sermon. He told Peter, "Come and see." Transformation happens when someone is invited, not forced. Champions open doors without pushing people through. The Orthodox fathers say, the soul opens when it is invited, not when it is pressured. Invitation honors freedom. Love without freedom is control. Freedom without love is abandonment. Christ leads by walking ahead, not dragging behind. He whispers, "Follow me, follow me." Champions don't control, they accompany. Failure is not the opposite of progress. Failure is the path of progress. The desert fathers would often say, "Fall and rise, fall and rise, fall and rise." Holiness is not the absence of falling. It is the refusal to stay down. God is not offended by weakness. He is moved by effort. St. Paul writes, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Corinthians chapter 12. So, not in strength, not in perfection, but in weakness. When a person knows failure does not end the relationship, they become fearless. Shame binds people to the past. Love frees them into the future. Champions don't remind people of where they fell. They remind them of where they can go. And every soul is a garden. Every soul is a garden. Most people are not hardened. They are unopened. Not resistant, but unwatered. Love is the water that softens the soil. Patience is the sun that warms the seed. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling its petals. Growth has a pace that cannot be rushed. Growth has a pace that cannot be rushed. A champion does not say, "Grow faster." A champion says, "I will stay while you grow." What you water grows. What you ignore withers. Relationships are gardens. They bloom when tended. If you want to change the world, love someone. If you want to change the world, love someone. You don't need to reach millions to change the world. You only need to reach one. Because when you change one person, you don't just change a life. You change the lives that life will touch. Jesus never said, "Go, impress the nations." He said, "Love one another. Love one another." Love is the only sermon everyone understands. A single soul is worth more than the whole universe. If your love reaches just one heart, heaven celebrates. That one is enough. That one is enough. The legacy, let's think about the legacy of relationships. Legacy is not what we leave to people, it is what we leave in people. Your greatest work will never be the task you completed, but the person you lifted. When your life is over, no one will talk about your schedule or your earnings. They will talk about how you made them feel seen, safe, and valued. Jesus left no book written by his own hand. He left transformed people. He left relationships that were so strong, the disciples were willing to die rather than deny the love they had encountered. Love creates courage. So they died for him. This is why the church fathers say, "Save yourself and thousands around you will be saved." A changed person changes people. Transformation flows through relationships like light passing from the candle to candle. And you never know what your love is unlocking. Think about the people you meet casually. The barista, the student, the co-worker, the stranger. You don't know their battles. A kind word might be the exact medicine their heart needed. Small acts of love are never small in the kingdom of God. In Matthew 25, Jesus says, "I was hungry and you gave me food. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Not I was impressive and you applaud me." Christ hides himself in the unnoticed. He waits for us in the small opportunities to care. He measures greatness not by success, but by compassion, not by how many admire us, but by how many feel safe with us. This is the gospel of relationship. This is the God of relationships. You become a champion by showing up. This is another thought. Champions don't perform miracles. They show up when others leave. They show up in discouragement, boredom, messiness, setbacks, and slow progress. Presence is the rarest form of love. Anyone can speak, few stay. God could have saved the world from afar. Instead, he entered into our world, our skin, our humanity. Love descends. Love shares the burden before it solves the problem. This is why the incarnation is not theology, it is strategy. Incarnation is not theology, it is strategy. God saves by becoming close. Relationships are the method of salvation. Relationships are the method of salvation. Let's think about the miracle of because of you, I didn't quit. Somewhere in the world right now, a child is staying in school because one adult believes in them. Somewhere, a teenager is resisting despair because someone sees value in them. Somewhere, a person is still praying because one friend holds their hand. People don't endure because life is easy. They endure because love gave them strength. You may be the reason someone doesn't quit. You may be the reason someone tries again. And you may be the reason someone sees God. That is a holy responsibility. When God wants to heal a person, he often sends a person. You might be the one he sends. You might be the one he sends. You might be someone's answer to prayer. And the world is changed by the one who loves most. We underestimate the power of one voice, one touch, one yes. Moses felt unqualified. Yet God said, I will be with you. Gideon felt inadequate. Yet God said, go in the strength you have. David felt small, yet God said, I am your strength. Every champion begins afraid. They become fearless because love strengthens them. Love is not the most powerful force in the universe. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Sin divides, love restores. Fear paralyzes, love frees. And hatred destroys, love resurrects. St. Paul says, love never fails. Knowledge may fail, strategies may fail, love does not. And look around you. Someone needs you. They don't need perfection. They need presence. They don't need answers. They need attention. They don't need a critic. They need a champion. The question is not, do you have influence? The question is, who is becoming stronger because they met you? Right now, think of one person, one name. Someone who needs encouragement, mercy, patience, or belief. Hold their name in your heart. Hold their name in your heart. And now whisper inside, I won't give up on you. Say it again, not to their behavior, but to their soul. You are speaking life into someone God loves. Every soul deserves a champion. Someone who says, I see you, I'm not leaving. Jesus did this for you. Now, go do it for someone else. This is how we change the world, not with arguments, not with power, but with love that refuses to quit. So God bless you. See you next time. Peace.